Have you ever wondered why, despite pouring your heart into love and sacrificing so much, your relationship still cools off and eventually falls apart? You might not realize that invisible fears, silently creeping into every delayed message or every moment of silence from your partner, are quietly sabotaging the very connection you crave. In this video, we'll dive deep into attachment fears, the invisible yet potent forces that lead both anxious and avoidant individuals to close off and self-sabotage their love. You'll uncover the psychological mechanisms behind every over-demanding reaction or seemingly harmless emotional distancing, which in reality drains your partner, leaves them feeling stuck, and pushes them away. Moreover, you'll learn how to spot these internal warning signs and gift yourself and your partner genuine safety, not through endless self-sacrifice or cold withdrawal, but through clear communication, healthy boundaries, and emotional accountability. Be brave, hit subscribe now so you don't miss any crucial insights. Watch until the end to arm yourself with the secrets of transforming fear into a lasting bridge, empowering you and your loved one to flourish in a secure, authentic, and fulfilling attachment. From those childhood afternoons when our tender hearts knew nothing of self-protection, the invisible fear of not being fully loved quietly imprinted itself onto every fold of emotion in people with an anxious attachment style. Growing up in an environment where loving messages could vanish as suddenly as they appeared, where bedtime promises might evaporate into silence by morning, we learned to remain hyper-alert to every tiny sign of distance, a delayed typing, bubble, an unexplained lull on the screen, a passing, "I'm busy right now." Each of these moments became an addictive trigger to reclaim our sense of safety, driving us to serve the other person by showering them with gifts, bending over backwards to accommodate every wish, sacrificing even our rest, endlessly making amends, as if giving more would dissolve our abandonment fears. Yet it is precisely this hidden demand that forces our partner into feeling on trial day after day. They hesitate, unsure where love ends and personal freedom begins, and in the end, the accumulated exhaustion compels them to turn away as the only escape from this invisible pressure. But this is not a condemnation. It is an empathetic reminder that behind every act of overgiving lies a single, heartfelt longing to be seen, understood, and valued. You deserve love not based on what you can do, but for simply being yourself. You do not need to test loyalty or exhaust yourself to earn a sense of security. Instead, you can stand tall and name your fear of abandonment with a courageous sentence like, "I feel anxious when I haven't heard from you for a while. I need to know you're here and that you value me." When you communicate with self-respect and sincerity, you grant your relationship a space where both partners can lean on each other without feeling coerced, where each retains their individuality while being wholly loved. Believe that expressing your needs is not a weakness, but the bravest act of self-respect. It is the first step in transforming fear into a strong, lasting bond that builds a foundation of safety for both to journey forward safety, not rooted in silent sacrifice, but in genuine understanding, respect, and heartfelt commitment. Having delved deeply into the anxious attachment style, where every slightest hint of distance triggers us to overserve, over-sacrifice, and test our partners just to secure a fleeting sense of safety. Let us now turn to another corridor in the maze of insecure attachment, the avoidant attachment style. Here, the journey begins with painful messages we absorbed in childhood each time we showed vulnerability or tried to draw someone closer to our hearts. Countless times, we learned to shield ourselves by adopting a strong front, never asking for help or revealing our needs, as if valuing ourselves solely through absolute independence was the only route to survival. Gradually, we internalized the belief that our worth is measured by performance, achievements, and our ability to master our own emotions, rather than by sharing our inner shadows. Those quiet afternoons alone, the moments we cried but were scolded with, "Why are you crying so much?" or the times we longed for a hug but received only distant gazes, all taught us a hard lesson. Vulnerability equals danger. Connection equals risk. Thus, the more we sought to protect ourselves, the more we encased our hearts in an invisible armor that made any confession of feelings or affectionate gesture feel like a virus threatening to infect our carefully controlled world. When in a relationship, we crave connection. Yet when our partner honestly shares their feelings, we hesitate and withdraw by maintaining distance, downplaying their needs, or outright ignoring the emotions they express. In this way, the moments of greatest intimacy, a late-night conversation, a hand held in a crowded street, an evening devoted solely to sharing flicker out because we cannot trust that this bond is safe. We stiffen, striving to prove our self-reliance, suppressing emotion until our partner feels they are traversing a barren desert, where any attempt to cultivate intimacy is futile. They recognize there is no emotional wellspring to nourish closeness, and your love grows cold. The consequence is that precious opportunities to build privacy and openness are squandered. Instead of drawing closer, the two of you drift farther apart. Yet this is not a condemnation of avoidant hearts, but rather a plea for understanding. Behind that sturdy fortress lies a fear of vulnerability, a fear of losing independence that even you may hesitate to acknowledge. You deserve to be fully loved even when you are not always strong, even when you sometimes need a shoulder to lean on or a word of empathy to lighten your burden. Try once to loosen the walls of self-reliance, gently admitting, I'm so used to carrying everything alone, but I also want to be seen and understood. When you courageously voice your need for comfort, you are showing respect for yourself and offering your partner the chance to walk alongside you. That is the stepping stone to break the cycle of avoidance and open the door to a relationship where both individuals can maintain their unique identities while jointly cultivating intimacy, not through performance, not through achievement, but through sincerity, trust, and self-respect. We have now seen through the two extremes of insecure attachment. On one side, the ever-present anxiety that drives us to serve and test our partner as the only way to protect ourselves. On the other, the sturdy wall of avoidance that seals off every crack of emotion as a shield against further wound. Now, let us listen to the shared voice of these two patterns, to recognize that behind each self-defense strategy lies a profound commonality. The fear of being fully seen with all our flaws, the fear of exposing our shattered parts, and the fear of losing independence or being abandoned. Whether we express ourselves or lock our hearts away, whether we overgive or demand too much, we are both fleeing from the fragile sense of inner insecurity. Side by side, this fear is the mirror reflecting that both anxious and avoidant individuals long for one singular thing: the safety to let someone truly know who we are, imperfections and all. The truth is, we all share a hunger for genuine connection, a hunger that makes our hearts leap when we realize someone understands us, yet also causes us to close ourselves off out of fear of rejection. Acknowledging this shared fear is the first step toward a transformative trigger. When we dare to ask ourselves incisive questions like, do I have the courage to let someone see my true self, including my pain and fears? Do I dare to voice the needs and boundaries I've long kept hidden? We begin to open the door to secure attachment. Because when we stop avoiding these questions, when we truly confront our fear of losing independence or our fear of abandonment, we can own our actions instead of letting fear lead the way. That moment of pausing, listening, and self-inquiry generates an internal ripple, a gentle yet potent push, strong enough to break the cycle of distress. This ripple creates the opportunity to respond to our partner not from a position of flight or self-defense, but from the stance of an autonomous individual with the right to express needs, the right to say no when necessary, and the right to say, I need you when we wish to share. No one is born perfect, and no relationship progresses if both parties do not dare to truly see each other, to look at the scars and the broken places. Try closing your eyes and imagining the moment you lift your chin, gaze fixed on your partner, and speak from the heart. I'm afraid I'm not good enough. I'm afraid I'll abandon you again, and I'm afraid you'll leave me if you hear that. But I want to share so we can understand each other better. That is the moment you create safety for both of you, where your partner no longer feels trapped in an invisible trial, but in a space of listening, understanding, and empathy. When each of us dares to name our fears and admit them to one another, we give our relationship an invaluable gift: sincerity. This sincerity is not the result of a single effort, but the solid foundation upon which love is built, where self-respect walks hand in hand with affection, and where we can be our true selves while being loved unconditionally. Having dared to confront and name our shared fears, the fear of being fully seen with all our flaws, the fear of losing independence, or the fear of abandonment, the next step is to build a space of safety where both partners can open up without concealing their broken parts. To establish that safety, first, you must self-sense and name your fear. Try spending a few minutes in stillness, closing your eyes, and asking yourself directly, what am I most afraid of? Where in my body do I feel tension when I think about sharing my emotions? When you can clearly articulate, I fear being abandoned, or I am afraid of being judged as weak, that fear loses some of its power. Naming it isn't just theoretical. It liberates you from vagueness and allows you to communicate honestly with your partner. I realize I panic when you go silent, and I'm learning to name that feeling. Next, clear and kind communication, without avoiding healthy conflict, serves as a solid bridge. Communication isn't merely voicing needs. It's also about listening with an open heart. Instead of blaming or interrogating, use "I feel" when statements to share. I feel sad when I don't hear from you. I wish we could talk openly about it. Through such phrasing, conflict ceases to be an enemy and becomes an opportunity for deeper understanding. Practice active listening. When your partner expresses themselves, nod, paraphrase their words so they feel heard, then share your own perspective. The third step is setting boundaries and standards for yourself, something insecurely attached individuals often hesitate to do for fear of seeming selfish. Boundaries aren't walls. They're protective fences for both partners. I need alone time after 9 p.m. to recharge, or I respect your privacy and hope you respect mine. When boundaries are clear, everyone knows where to draw the line, minimizing accidental clashes and preserving mutual respect. Fourth, taking responsibility for your emotions and listening to both partners' needs is the key to balancing relational energy. When you recognize you're snapping out of fatigue or insecurity, pause and apologize promptly. I'm sorry, I was tense today and spoke harshly. Meanwhile, don't forget to ask about your partner. What can I do to make you feel more secure? This responsibility sends a clear message that you're not blaming or avoiding, but proactively caring for both yourself and the other person. Finally, being willing to risk vulnerability through deep, open dialogue is the finishing touch. Taking risks means accepting the possibility of hurt, yet it's the only way to cultivate lasting intimacy. You might carve out an evening without technology, sit facing each other and share one thing I've never told anyone before. These moments, though shaky, hearts pounding, are the fertile ground for trust to grow. When all 5 elements naming fears, clear communication, personal boundaries, emotional responsibility, and courageous openness are practiced together, you create a safety loop where neither partner needs to flee or defend. Instead, you meet each other as your authentic selves, with self-respect and sincerity. This is the foundation for a secure bond where every flaw is accepted, every emotion is welcomed, and every step forward is nurtured by mutual trust and respect. At this point, having explored and practiced the 5 foundational elements, from courageously naming your inner fears, communicating clearly, setting boundaries, taking emotional responsibility, to being open in dialogue, we enter the expansion phase, where these actions become not isolated steps, but a ripple of transformation that spreads deeply. Indeed, once you experience the power of accurately naming the fear of abandonment or the fear of appearing weak, you realize that every moment you publicly share your emotions, however awkward, is a testament to strong self-respect, not vulnerability. In this process, create small milestones, a feelings journal to record moments when you overcame old psychological alarms, a daily mirror affirmation that you deserve to be heard and respected, or a brief task board with questions like, did I speak my truth today? Each milestone serves as tangible proof that instead of being stuck in a cycle of flight, you are actively steering the relationship towards security. Next, amplify openness by encouraging both partners to share a fear map in a concise, judgment-free evening session, where each person can freely sketch hidden corners, write down situations that triggered them, and express how they wish to be supported. This sharing framework should also include active listening. After your partner speaks, paraphrase their words back, ask clarifying questions to ensure you understand correctly, and commit not to use that information for criticism. This level of companionship transforms risk into a foundation for trust. Additionally, apply the positive acknowledgement technique to reinforce safety. Each day, pick a small moment, perhaps a morning coffee smile, an unexpected hug, or a compliment on your partner's skill, and express 2 things you appreciate about them. This practice not only helps both of you see value in small actions, but also recharges the relationship, allowing anxious or avoidant reactions to lose their hold. Furthermore, consider establishing a no-phone day, where you both commit to 2 hours each week without phones to focus solely on listening, using eye contact, gestures, and emotions. This setting becomes an ideal practice ground for healthy conflict resolution without falling into control or avoidance pattern. In this expansion journey, don't forget self-care as a parallel objective. Practice a 10-minute morning meditation to center your mind, engage in gentle exercise to relieve tension, or join a support group to share experiences and learn from those facing similar challenges. When each individual stands firm in self-care, they bring stable, positive energy to the relationship, ready for constructive exchange. Finally, turn the practice of these skills into a joint project uniquely yours. Give the project a name, choose a symbol or motto that inspires, and review progress periodically, monthly or quarterly. Each time you look back, you'll be amazed to see how fears, once thought insurmountable, have shrunk, making room for trust and a stronger bond. Through this expansion journey, the relationship shifts from a battleground of anxiety versus avoidance to a safe space where both partners can bravely face each other, uphold firm boundaries, and savor the experience of being fully seen, understood, and cherished. In the end, once you have navigated through anxiety, dismantled the walls of avoidance, recognized the shared roots of fear, and established a foundation of safety based on the 5 principles naming your fears, clear communication, firm boundaries, emotional responsibility, and courageous openness, you will discover that lasting love is not a tiring chase nor a series of closed-off hearts. Rather, it is the shared journey of 2 free individuals who respect one another and are willing to reveal both their light and shadow. The tools you carry forward are more than communication techniques or psychological concepts. They are the strength and self-respect cultivated through each courageous step of facing and acknowledging your true emotions. When you dare to name your fears and bring them into the light, you gift your relationship something invaluable: sincerity and trust. When you uphold your boundaries while also listening to your partner's needs, you demonstrate that self-respect and mutual respect can coexist. Let every conversation be an opportunity to build trust, and every moment of tension serve as a stepping stone toward deeper understanding. As you commit to these practices, your relationship will transform from insecure to secure, from avoidant to connected, from fear to genuine sharing. If you find value in these insights, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any video that helps you become a more grounded, confident, and whole version of yourself. Thank you for journeying with me. Let's continue on this path towards secure, heartfelt connection together.